So do you trade against the trend?
Trade against the trend, yes. At some point in time I do. Let's say for example the daily time frame is heading up. I know that a pullback is due. Let's say it's overextended. Then how do I trade counter trend is I will go down to the lower time frame. It can be 4 hours, it can be 1 hour, knowing that the daily time frame is already overextended. So I'll look for 1 hour, 4 hour, and then I will trade a counter daily trend kind of trade. But on intraday, it is still a very nice bearish trend. So in that sense, yes and no, I do trade counter trend, but it's still a trending entry based on different time frames, that's all.
That's really great. Jay, you have taught so many students all around Asia, especially Singapore, also Malaysia. So what do you think are the common mistakes that aspiring traders and experienced traders always make?
Aspiring first. So most of them, including how I started, was I didn't have a game plan. I was getting stock tips, be it from friends, be it from news reports, from brokers. I didn't have a way or a process initially to build up the trade. This is usually how they get started also. Having majority of the stocks being recommended to them by their friends or from the news. Those brokers will always have this bullish or overweight on a certain stock, and then they will say a price target within the next 12 months. Most of us, right, when we look at such a report, right, we would think that it is going to be bullish. And sometimes it didn't happen within the next 12 months. It may happen in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years instead of the next 1 year. There is a mismatch of the time frame because we would expect it to have, within the next few months, it must go already. So this is where the recommendation, the action taker will have a difference in their perspective. Another common mistake is, like myself, they lack position sizing. They do not have a proper money management system. Well, that's the second mistake that most of the traders will make.
Experience?
Okay, one of the mistake that, including myself, mistake I would make is complacency. I would always have this thinking that, hey, I'm so good already, then why is there a need to plan my trade? When I was starting out, I always have this journal keeping habit where I will write down everything, what's my game plan, what's the position size. After that, I will faithfully do my post-mortem. So I'll go and see why this trade went the way that I wanted it and why this trade didn't go the way I wanted it. And I learned quite a fair bit from there. And as I get more and more complacent, what happens is sometimes I'm like, this is a hassle, come on, just forget it. I know what everything in my mind already, then I will just take the trade. And more often than not, such trades when taken on based on complacency, it won't turn out so well. That is just me. So I thought that was just me alone. Then when I was talking to some of my friends who are also trading, then I realized that this is a common denominator among experienced traders. We get complacent and then we get punished by the market, and then we will go back to being good and less complacent.
Can relate. Then what are some of the common habits that successful traders have? The common mindsets that they have?
Successful habits of a trader, of course, first thing is discipline. Discipline to follow the plan, because trading is just like any other business, Any trade that you want to take is just like when a business want to undertake a project. Common successful habit is, of course, discipline. Discipline in their psychology, discipline in their money management, and discipline to follow the process or to even have the process in the first place.
Okay, great. Discipline, I also agree, is very important. Jay, what are some of the trading books that you would recommend?
I have read quite a couple of books, almost 100 over books from the starting all the way to now. If you are talking about technical analysis, one of the better books I have read is by Pring on Technical Analysis Explained. That is a brilliant book. If you are talking about options, then I recommend the one by lanieri. It is a very, how do I put it? Let's just say it took me almost 9 months to finish that book. It is very dry. And this is worse than a textbook. And if you are talking about general investments and trading, I recommend books by Khoo. Adam Khoo has this book called Winning. Yes.
You're watching this?
Winning the game of
stocks.
Yes, winning the game of stocks. So he shares very good information on how one can, take charge of their financial outcome, the practical ways of how they can apply and achieve that return that they aspire for.
Okay, guys, if you want to find the books, I'll put all the links down in the description below, so it's easier for you to check it out. Jay, can you share with us how is a typical day in your life, like from morning all the way until nighttime? What's your trading routine like?
Because I trade the US market, so naturally I don't sleep that early. And I don't sleep That is taking a toll on my health, and it's not so healthy given that I'm from Asia, this part of the world. It's 12 hours apart for US market. Most of the work, right, is being done when market is closed, which means in Singapore in the daytime, then also as well as on weekends. That's where I do most of my research, most of my work. I would say more than half of it is being done over the weekend, where I would have prepared a list of stocks to pick up potential ones from there. And what I would do is I would set this target price, target entry price, as well as a general draft plan during the weekends. When the market is open during the weekdays, is just to watch this plan, and if it fulfills, then I will take the trade. If it doesn't, then I will just drag it off. That is my weekly routine. Then if you talk about daily routine, I usually wake up nearer to late morning, 10 plus to 11, and that's where I start my day off. My day will be filled with meetings, with lunch appointments, and then after that, evening time, I will start to look at the market already. And if I'm outside, then of course I will look at the market from my phone. If I'm at home, then I will launch up my platform, my desktop, and take it from there.
What kind of criteria do you look at for you to say, okay, I'm going to trade this stock?
Okay, I use this approach based on the consistency philosophy. So I will want to look for a stock that has this edge that says out of the last 10 years, this stock has rallied, this stock is bullish 8 out of 10 times in the last 10 years. That would be my starting point. So this consistency approach, right, also give rise to this cyclical analysis approach that I'm using right now. So for example, I will look at UOB, and UOB, I know that every August, right, UOB, a Singapore bank, is definitely going to be bearish, and this has been true since early 2000. It has been going on for 15 years and so on and so forth. In the month of August, I would definitely not going to buy UOB, because for the last 15 years, 100% of the time it has gone down. So I do not want to go against this cyclical trend.
Okay, Jay, since you trade many different asset classes, equities, derivatives, and forex, how different are your approaches among all of these different asset classes?
First thing, of course, is the time frame. When trading equities, right, my time frame is usually ranging from weeks to few months. Then when trading forex, I tend to limit it to just within the week itself, because I do not want to expose myself to unforeseen event during the weekends. So one of the unforeseen events during the weekends that I vividly remember, it was in 2015, and luckily I didn't have any position exposed in the currency market. I do have positions in the equity market. So what happened was, if you can recall, there was this Black Monday in 2015 where Dow Jones on Monday, it opened and reached minus 1,000 points. Especially forex, because it is a higher leverage instrument as compared to equities, I would tend to not have those longer term or overnight exposure. What I do is options on futures, largely the energy ones, which natural gas and crude oil. Currently, natural gas, the premium is very thin, so I'm not doing so much on natural gas, but more on crude oil. This is slightly different from how I would approach equities and forex. Selling premium on commodities options, right, or any other options is more like a waiting game. You have to get in at the right time where the premium is high enough, where the IV is not too low. You also have to bear in mind the general direction of the underlying, which in this case, let's say crude oil, if it's heading up, right, and if you were to sell a call against the bullish direction of the crude oil, then you will find yourself needing multiple repair. Like you need to roll off the next month to the next month before you can break even. So it's a very different ball game as compared to directional trades in equities and forex.
Okay, Jay, what's the best ever financial advice that you've ever received?
Well, get educated. This was told to me by my friend. Early on in my journey where I lost quite a fair bit of money, I was relating my experience to this friend of mine, and then he told me, why not you go get yourself an education? Contrary to what many people may believe, and people are skeptical in nature, they always have this belief that, well, if this guy is so good, then why does he teach? Typical. I cannot say the reason why he wants to teach, but at the end of the day, right, if I attend a program, what I am looking out for is to accelerate my learning curve, because time is something that is common to all of us, and once the time is lost, we will not be able to recover it. Just, get yourself an education, be it through books, be it through courses, or be it through professional certification. I think that's the most important, because with knowledge then comes application. That's where the results are after the application.
Okay, Jay, what's the best success advice that you can give anybody?
Wow, this is a tough question. Never give up. never give up, because one thing I have realized is things are not always that rosy as you see, because most of the time what people see, right, is the highlight reel of other people's success. They have not seen the tough work behind, the torture, everything, just all the hard work and the grind behind what leads to this success. On social media, every time we look at, wow, this guy just changed car, this guy just changed a house, all we see will be, wow, so good, like that guy doing so good like that. What they do not see is behind this guy's success is the hours of work that is put in, so-called all the failures, the small failures that is all along the way that most of us will not have seen. Always never give up, and that is the one sure way for you to inch closer towards your own success.
Guys, no matter how many accounts you've blown, no matter how many bad trades you've made, just don't give up, because eventually you'll get there. Okay, Jay, what's the one random fact that your followers, students, supporters don't know about you?
I have stage fright. Most of the time, people that come from my seminar or my course, right, if I tell them I have stage fright, they wouldn't believe it, because I would just speak normally and everything, it seems everything is okay. But within me, right, I'm a very private person in nature. I am more of an introvert than an extrovert. And I do not talk as well as some of the people do. As I'm talking, right, like even right now, I'm talking, okay, what should I say next? What should I say next? So if I'm in front of a lot of people, right, sometimes I would tend to just keep quiet, don't talk. If you're on a stage, of course, you can't do that. So this is one fact that, well, people may not believe, even if I tell them.
If our viewers here want to know more about you, want to learn more from you, those overseas followers and also those Singaporean followers, how can they reach out to you, and also how can they check out some of your content?
I have recently started out this website, which is www.jaytun.com. I will update my articles, the content, everything on the website, and of course you can connect with me on my Facebook. If you go and search for my name, Jaytun, then you will see Swim Trading at a small title over there, then that's me.
Okay guys, if you want to check out Jay, I'll put all the link down in the description below, so you can check it out too. So with that, this is Jay and I'm Karen, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.